YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today I got my Browns offseason rebuild, 2021 free agency and draft. I play GM for every single NFL team, all in separate videos here. I make cuts, take a look at the cap space situation, re-sign players, make some major free agency signings, and then top draft targets. We have a couple different scenarios there. So we do this for every single team. We're about a few teams in here, so here we go with the Browns. Excited about this series. Do it every year. Got plenty of NFL offseason content, free agency, trade coverage, draft coverage, mock drafts galore. So check all that out. A lot more to come. We grade every single free agency signing, so that's right around the corner here. So I'm looking forward to that. Follow us on Twitter. Constant NFL news and talk, takeaways on the Twitter. If you're not following Twitter, you're missing out. Please subscribe to the channel. Link in the description and comments for anything that you need. Here's the Twitter. Panthers making moves. They made cuts yesterday. We broke it down. They're restructuring some contracts now. We break everything down here on the Twitter, so check it out. And I'll pin a link in the comments for this, too. It's a little bit of a cheat sheet for this offseason, updated cap space projections, potential cuts, and how much money they would clear with those cuts or trades or anything. So pretty useful stuff. Check it out. Browns, who am I cutting? We're starting with $25.7 million cap space. This is kind of worst case scenarios at the time of recording this video. We don't know the exact team salary cap. We know kind of the floor, which is realistic, and that's kind of where that's at, $25.7 million. So it could be a little more realistically. I'm going to cut MJ Stewart. They picked him up from the Buccaneers. He was actually maybe a little better than expected because things didn't really, didn't work out at all, in Tampa. Clear a little bit of money there, just looking to get better, specifically at the slot corner position, and a couple other cheap cuts that, no point of keeping some of these guys around. They may make more of those. They're just really small numbers of what they clear. So nothing major there for the Browns to make cuts to clear more space, but they got a decent amount of cap space, especially compared to the rest of the NFL. A lot of nightmare situations. Only player I'm looking to re-sign is Rashard Higgins. We don't even have to get him back, really. You see we upped the cap space a little bit with those cuts, but Rashard Higgins is a good receiver 3 option. Should be pretty cheap to stay put in Cleveland. BJ Goodson was playing all right, at the end of last year, making some plays, but, if we get him back, we're paying him to be, is he a starter still? Because we're looking to get better at the linebacker position anyways. You got Mac Wilson coming back, other young guys can step up, so I didn't really feel like there was any point unless he's dirt cheap. Carl Joseph played, quite a bit last year, strong safety position. He covers some tight ends in the slot. They can bring guys back like that if they're cheap, and I won't mind it. It's just I'm just looking to use that cap space for big time players because this team is getting better at a rapid rate, and we want to make this championship caliber team here. So enough messing around here. So scenario 1 here, I really like Jayon Brown for the Browns. He's the Titans linebacker. Maybe the Titans would like to get him back. They're in a little bit of a cap space situation. They'll clear some, but their priorities might be, Jonnu Smith, guys like that. I would love Jayon Brown with the Browns. Brown with the Browns here. They need speed. They need to get better at linebacker. They need speed at linebacker. That's Jayon Brown. He's pretty good covering. You can blitz him. Titans, for some reason, didn't blitz him that much this year, but in the past they have, and he was pretty damn good at it. Very good in coverage. It's going to be that athletic linebacker that you need. J.J. Watt was actually my prediction that J.J. Watt would land on the Browns, right when that news came out that he was a free agent. Now I think it's becoming less likely, though, because it's still a strong option, and I think that's a good fit, him opposite of Myles Garrett, so I went ahead and added J.J. Watt in the scenario. But the Browns are ready to sign him right away. It feels like he's waiting for maybe somebody to clear space. So, I had the Browns as the top tier option that, most likely his landing spot, but that's kind of fallen down now in terms of prediction because, he's waiting for something. The Browns could have done it the second he got released in terms of cap space. So unless they're back and forth on the contract, possibly. But I do like the fit there. It's a possibility. It's realistic, and that would be my, a good addition in my opinion. It is a little risky, though, because he does have the injury concern, and, depending on the price. Mike Hilton from the Steelers, really good slot corner. The Browns need a really good slot corner, upgrade over a guy like MJ Stewart, a massive upgrade. He's actually a really good blitzer, too. I think that would be key, with, their defensive front, mainly Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson coming from the interior, getting a blitzer like this that's also good in coverage. He's one of the better slot corners in football. I think this would be a major addition for the Browns, and slot corners don't cost too much, really, but this is probably a high-value one. So let me go in the draft. I think Gregor Rousseau would be a really good addition in this scenario from Miami. This is the ultimate freak upside guy. If you watch the tape, he isn't super productive off the edge. A lot of his production was, pretty much almost created by his other teammates. Miami had a really good defensive line, but he's got the freak length, athleticism. He's going to be a really good edge rusher, but where he was actually impressive on tape, most impressive, where his production he created was actually on the inside. Now, with his length in his frame, teams are going to work him outside, and they should. But what I like here is J.J. Watt could play a DN in their scheme. He also can slide in and play inside. Gregor Rousseau can play DN. He also can slide in and play inside. So you kind of get help in both spots here, which the Browns need. So I really like adding both those guys. Rousseau, learning from Myles Garrett, J.J. Watt. He's going to reach that potential. He's going to do it. So it's the ultimate upside guy. That might not be a crazy impact, but playing with these guys, he might be right away. I like to fit a Tyson Campbell in the second round here. So, yeah, the Browns got, multiple round 3 picks. That's why I got 4 options here. Some teams I got 3 options for top targets. But, yeah, I like Tyson Campbell. I think he's a lock in the second round, the Georgia corner. Phenomenal athlete, has some pretty good length. It's another upside guy that can make an impact now, so maybe people will fall in love with his upside, so they'll take him a little earlier. But put him in there. Denzel Ward's going to start. We know that. Greedy Williams, we'll see if he stays healthy. But Campbell, could really replace Greedy Williams there. So that it could be an upgrade there. They're still looking for more corners. Then receiver Tutu Atwell, really like him in the Browns system. They're going to be looking to add a rotation speed guy. They need speed. We talked about they need it on defense. They need that receiver too. In that Stefanski scheme, you'll see a lot of 2 receivers on the field at once. That'll be Odell Beckham and it'll be Jarvis Landry. But that third rotation receiver is very, very important to find a solid one, especially with speed. They need that desperately, I think, to compete with the Chiefs in the Bills, teams like that. So Tutu Atwell, early third round, ideal. And then you add, maybe a guy that can start on the defense line in the future, a guy like Tyler Shelvin from LSU, who big body guy, he can move around a bit in there in the defensive line. So they kind of need, they get Andrew Billings back, who play a little nose tackle on obvious rundowns. So he opted out last year. So, that's kind of for now, but in the future, maybe in a year or two, are they going to have Sheldon Richardson and Andrew Billings? So Shelvin would be a pretty good addition there. I think they'll like him. So that's kind of scenario 1. I think a lot of these guys complement each other very well, the additions. Here's another scenario. Yeah, I didn't mention that in the first option. Some people are talking about them adding a safety, specifically a free safety, and that's why I like this. We went 2 different scenarios, one with them, prioritizing that, and then one without, because they do have Grant Delpit and they do have Ronnie Harrison, and I think they can roll with those guys. Grant Delpit playing a free safety, Ronnie Harrison playing more of a strong safety. It's my opinion. So, I didn't go with the first scenario, the first option with them targeting a safety. But, there isn't any guarantees with Grant Delpit, obviously. So maybe they just want to go get one of the better ones in the market here. And John Johnson, who had a phenomenal year for the Rams, definitely a very solid free safety that could come up in the box and, man cover somebody in the slot if you need him to as well. So you kind of upgrade the secondary there and add a guy like William Jackson, a corner, so you can have Denzel Ward and William Jackson. That's a pretty damn good duo there. And you definitely need to focus on adding another edge rusher if you don't get Olivier Vernon back. And so you spend a pretty good amount of money with John Johnson, William Jackson. So Clowney could be a little cheaper option, but definitely still got, some play left in the tank. He wasn't getting much production last year, but he was getting pressure. And him opposite of Myles Garrett would be ideal there. I think a good fit. Then we go into the draft. So then you desperately need that linebacker position because we focus on the top targets being, non-linebackers there in free agency. Nick Bolton, I think, is a fantastic fit there. High motor guy, flies to the ball, extremely instinctive. You watch him on tape. His first step seems to before pre-snap seems to be towards where the ball is going a ton. So then you need a defensive lineman as well because Clowney, Myles Garrett, they're going to be off the edge every time. So I had a guy like Marvin Wilson that can rotate in at either D tackle spot and early on in career be a starter. And then we add an outside corner. We add a free safety, to pair with Ronnie Harrison. They definitely need a slot guy. Elijah Molden is a dominant slot player. Some will list him at strong safety, but he's going to play in the slot in the box. He's a big-time playmaker there. We're really upgrading the secondary right now. And then the later third round, Jadeveon Clowney's no guarantee, and he's not going to be around forever, so you need to kind of look out for the future. Jordan Smith is another freaky upside guy, extremely long, has some pretty good pass rush moves already, played at UAB, so a big-time upside guy, so they add him to learn from, Myles Garrett and Clowney potentially could be the starter in a year or two, really. Another freaky, lengthy, upside guy there. So I really like these fits. I like these scenarios for the Browns. This is kind of what I would do. Some scenarios. There are some risks here. J.J. Watt can be considered a risk. I guess Clowney could, but he'd probably be on the cheaper side. But yeah, I like these fits a lot. Let's see what they end up doing here this offseason, because that offense is pretty much set. Again, you could use a speedy receiver perhaps, but then other than that, you just focus on the defense. And there are a bit of holes they need to fill on defense. But when you got a guy like Myles Garrett, you got a guy like Denzel Ward, you got some other guys that got a lot of upside. That upside could be got to, I guess, in no time. So really excited about the Browns, where they're heading. We did this for quite a few teams, and we got a lot more to go. We're going to do every single team. In the meantime, we also have plenty of offseason content, predictions, whether it's free agency, draft, trades, breakdown trades after they happen. So you can check all that out, and a lot more to come. Anything you can think of, we're going to cover it here, NFL-wise, on the channel. So hopefully you can join us for that. Subscribe, smash that like button, turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing. Follow our Twitter. You're missing out if you're not following that. Constant talk there. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.